morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. We will be starting this UN Ocean Conference briefing very shortly. We're just waiting for everyone to connect from all over the globe, and we'll start very, very soon.
Lilou,
Oui.
et peut-être aussi Lorelai et Rémi, les messages qui vous paraissent importants pour là.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Ambassador, I will give you the floor in a second. So I would like to welcome everyone for this UN Ocean Conference information briefing with the participation and support of the governments of France and Costa Rica, together with my dear friend Rémi Parmentier from the Varda Group and the Ocean Climate Platform. We have been mandated to mobilize civil society. Therefore, one of our most important missions is to make sure that information is shared as widely as possible. So this will be the objective of this meeting today. Don't worry, the meeting is indeed recorded. It will be shared and made available on the website of the Ocean and Climate Platform, and we'll make sure to share the most important informations and takeaway in a minutes of this meeting. For those who don't know me, my name is Lorelai Picourt. I'm the Executive Director of the Ocean and Climate Platform. I will be facilitating the discussion today. Just very quickly, some housekeeping rules. Let's say the translation is available in both French and English. So you can look at the little globe on your icons at the bottom of your screen and be able to change the language in which you receive the translation. You will be also able to ask some questions in the Q&A box that is also at the bottom of your screen. We do invite you to ask your questions as we go, and please do vote for your favorite questions. So we'll address them as a priority, and we'll take all of the questions, of course, if we don't have time. So now, without further ado, I would like to share a little bit the agenda for this meeting today. First, we'll have some introductory remarks from our ambassador, Olivier Poivre d'Arvor, together as our colleague, Maria Amalia Jimenez from Costa Rica. And then we'll dive deeper into the organization of the UN Ocean Conference in Nice with a fantastic lineup of speakers, all women on the UNOC team, I may say, and very happy to be here to answer questions. Before I pass on to the Ambassador Poivre d'Arvor, let me say as well that we do have some additional panelists who are here, each representing the special events that will take place in the run-up to UNOC. So if you have any questions about the special events as well, we do have some great friends and colleagues that have agreed to join us online to make sure that you have the latest information. So with this, I would like again to thank you so much. There are more than 500 people connected, so that's how much interest UNOC generates. 2025 is supposed to be a turning point for the ocean. So without further ado, please, Ambassador Poivre d'Arvor, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Lorelai, and hello to everybody. Good morning for those who are somewhere, and good evening for the rest of the people. As you know, in life, there are good and bad news. The good news is that there is a translation, and the bad news is I am going to speak French, so you will have to turn. And so probably for those who don't speak French or Spanish, because my colleague from Costa Rica probably will exercise her Spanish on you. Je voulais vous remercier d'être là, très nombreuses et très nombreux. Vous l'avez dit, Lorelai, cette année est importante, 2025. D'abord parce qu'il s'est passé des choses dans le monde depuis le début de l'année et que dans le fond, l'océan, vous le savez, est probablement notre dernière nouvelle frontière. Depuis que l'espace maintenant semble prêt à être colonisé au meilleur sens du terme par toutes sortes d'engins qui iront sur Mars, eh bien moi je vous propose que nous allions découvrir ensemble l'océan et que nous lancions en réponse à ce rêve de l'espace que nous allions construire le rêve de l'océan. Pour construire le rêve de l'océan, il faut d'abord être nombreux autour de la table. Et nous allons être, grâce à l'ensemble des organisateurs, je salue Costa Rica évidemment, qui est co-host avec nous, nous allons être dans une scène magnifique qui est Nice, que vous connaissez, avec toutes sortes de gens très fréquentables, des chefs d'État et de gouvernement, nous en espérons près de 80, peut-être plus encore. C'est beaucoup, mais il nous faut avoir aujourd'hui ces chefs d'État et de gouvernement pour pouvoir légiférer, pour pouvoir prendre des engagements et cesser ce blou-blou infernal qui, depuis de nombreuses années, fait que l'océan ne va pas mieux, l'océan n'est pas plus financé, et l'océan reste toujours une sorte de side event des questions de climat et de biodiversité. L'océan mérite non pas d'avoir sa propre COP, c'est pas ça le problème, mais vous noterez que la même année où nous aurons la troisième conférence de l'océan sur la conférence des Nations Unies sur l'océan, ce sera la 30e COP climat. Donc nous sommes en retard dans nos plaidoyers, nous sommes en retard dans nos avancements. Et en même temps, je crois que nous savons ce que nous voulons faire. Nous voulons décarboner le transport maritime, nous voulons protéger nos espaces côtiers, nous voulons faire que les ressources halieutiques soient durables, nous voulons lutter contre la pollution plastique, nous voulons faire de cette mer qui nous est commune un objet durable, désirable, et non pas une simple plateforme d'exploitation économique. Pour ce faire, l'UNOC 3 propose un programme qui est à la fois la conférence politique pendant 5 jours, du 9 au 13 juin, avec le 13 juin, je crois que Lilou Scortino Monaco en parlera, les accords de Nice, qui doivent être pour l'océan ce que les accords de Paris ont été pour le climat. J'insiste dessus, 10 ans après, nous devons faire autant que ce qui a été fait par la communauté internationale sur le climat, c'est-à-dire alerter et donner des repères pour aller mieux. Et puis nous avons, avant la conférence elle-même, des grands événements spéciaux, 3 d'entre eux qui sont consacrés pendant 4 jours à la science pour mieux connaître cet océan, d'avoir un rendez-vous qui sera important aussi consacré à la lutte contre le changement climatique et plus particulièrement aux effets de ce changement climatique sur l'élévation du niveau de la mer dans les villes et régions côtières du monde. Près de 800 millions de citoyens seront représentés par les 500, 600 maires et gouverneurs qui seront invités le 7 juin à Nice. Et puis enfin à Monaco, juste à côté, grâce au prince Albert de Monaco, très engagé sur l'océan, le Blue Economy and Finance Forum qui, du 7 au 8 juin, je crois, traitera de ces questions importantes qui, au-delà du transport maritime, de la pêche, mais parlera aussi de l'industrie des câbles, des énergies renouvelables, de l'ensemble des questions liées au tourisme durable, qui fait que finalement, vous le savez, l'océan, s'il était un pays, l'OCDE nous l'a dit, serait la 5e économie au monde. Donc nous parlons de choses très sérieuses, avec évidemment l'envie de permettre à de nombreux citoyens de vivre de l'océan, mais en même temps avec une préoccupation dont je peux vous assurer que nous sommes ici à Paris, mais partout, je le sais, où vous êtes, très engagés pour que cet océan soit préservé, pour que nous obtenions ces 60 ratifications qui permettront notamment dans le domaine de la haute mer de véritablement protéger de grands espaces. Voilà, je ne veux pas être plus long, juste dépêchez-vous de réserver vos chambres. Il y a beaucoup de gens qui vont être à Nice. Nous attendons près de 30 000 ensemble délégués et spécialistes qui vont intervenir. Et puis, dites à vos chefs d'État et de gouvernement qu'ils soient courageux, qu'ils s'engagent pour non seulement leurs petits-enfants, mais d'abord pour eux-mêmes, d'abord pour nous, pour cette génération, et qu'on se souvienne de Nice en 2025 comme en effet un point majeur de la conquête au meilleur sens du terme et de l'exploration de l'océan. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup, Olivier. Monsieur l'ambassadeur, thank you very much for your unwavering commitment. We know how hard you work to deliver on this UN Ocean Conference, and we're very grateful for your time. You were just telling me that you're now at the Élysée Palace, so very close to the president, making sure that the ocean finally gets its seat at the table and at the highest level of decision making. So we do thank you for your time.
And I can tell you that really Mr. Macron is extremely committed on that, and as the president of Costa Rica, Mr. Chavez. But I'm sure, thanks to also the General Secretary of the UN, we will have, something probably we can't imagine. In fact, you will be, all of us, and me as well, quite astonished by the capacity we have all together to change the world.
Thank you very much, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur. Indeed, that's what we need to do, change the world. And as you highlighted, of course, this is a duo. This is France and Costa Rica leading the charge for this UN Ocean Conference. So it's now my great pleasure to turn to Mrs. Maria Amalia Jimenez. You are here on behalf of your ambassador, the infamous Gina. We know how committed you both have been to delivering on ocean action, and I just want to congratulate you once more for the fantastic event that was organized in Costa Rica, in your wonderful country, in June last year, the first step on the road to Nice. So thank you so much, Maria Amalia, for being here with us, and please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lorelai, and greetings also to Ambassador Pardo and to all the representatives from civil society organizations that are present in this meeting, and thank you so much for giving this the importance it deserves. And first and foremost, I would like to extend all my heartfelt thanks to the Ocean and Climate Platform and to the Varda Group for organizing this important meeting, and more broadly also for so effectively fulfilling your mandate in mobilizing civil society on the path to this third UN Ocean Conference. Your efforts in disseminating information about the conference, engaging and consulting actors from civil society throughout all the process are invaluable, and we are deeply grateful for this. Please allow me also to convey the apologies of Costa Rica's Special Envoy for the Ocean, Ambassador Guillen, for not being with us today, as she is currently traveling to attend several meetings on the deep sea mining issue, to keep on raising awareness among countries about the risks associated with such activities. She has, however, asked me to convey the following message to you all. All the work and contributions of the civil society community, whether through raising awareness among the public and policymakers, or by amplifying the voices or of marginalized groups, such as small-scale fisher folks, coastal communities, and indigenous people, is crucial for the success of UNOC 3. As Costa Rica and France have proposed, the overarching theme of this third UN Ocean Conference is accelerating action and mobilizing all actors to conserve and sustainably use the ocean. The part mobilizing all actors is paramount here, and your attendance in such great numbers in this meeting shows the strong demand for civil society to actively engage in this conference. So to allow this such strong participation, Costa Rica and France are working on two specific things. First, to make this UN Ocean Conference as representative, as inclusive as possible. This means ensuring that all regions and sectors have the opportunity to highlight their ocean priorities and commit to its protection. This applies also, obviously, for member states, whether developing or developed, whether coastal or landlocked, all should have the same space during this conference. Given the interconnected nature of the ocean, ocean action must be equally inclusive, drawing on the support of civil society, the scientific community, intergovernmental and non-governmental organizations, private sector, women, youth, indigenous peoples, and local communities. Second, we also want to ensure that civil society organizations and coalitions have the space and the opportunity to present their work and stress their priorities to effectively implement SDG 14. You already play a central role in strengthening ocean governance and accelerating ocean action. But this role must be reinforced, whether it concerns marine protected areas on the high seas, with the High Seas Alliance or Rise Up for the Ocean, or combating illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing with Stop Illegal Fishing or Global Fishing Watch, or opposing deep sea mining with the Deep Sea Conservation Coalition, just to mention very few of the hundreds of organizations supporting ocean action. We encourage you all to work closely with governments and United Nations system organizations to effectively fulfill your role as key advisors and whistleblowers. I would like to make a quick parenthesis to emphasize that the active involvement of your organizations is particularly critical in the ongoing debates regarding deep sea mining, one of Costa Rica's top priorities right now. You have been alerting the international community of the fragility of deep sea ecosystems and the irreversible damage that mining activities could cause. With 32 countries supporting a precautionary pause on deep sea mining until robust scientific evidence on its true impact is available, civil society is leading essential actions and must continue to play this crucial role. In this spirit, we encourage civil society organizations, whether acting within coalitions or independently, to actively engage in this third UN Ocean Conference. And here is how you can make your voices heard. First, some of you already participated on the global online stakeholder consultation that was organized by the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs in August last year, and shared inputs on the concept papers for the 10 ocean action panels, which will be at the heart of the conference. The UN received a total of 420 stakeholders' submissions from stakeholders based in around 90 countries. As we are working on the substance of these panels right now, these contributions are crucial for us to understand the priorities of civil society. Second, by registering new commitments to the UNOC 3 official website, and perhaps more importantly, to report on past commitments your organization pledged. These commitments will constitute one of the two pillars of the NIS Ocean Action Plan, alongside the political declaration, and should be as ambitious as possible. And finally, by applying for official side events during UNOC 3, the application process has been open since yesterday, and we encourage you to present side events that are as collaborative and innovative as possible. You can find the side event guidelines on the official website of UNOC 3, and we remain at your disposal to answer any questions you might have. To finalize, and once more, let me thank each and every one of you for your work to preserve our ocean and its ecosystems. We need your voices and your expertise to make this conference the milestone event the ocean needs. We remain at your disposal, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Maria Amalia. Obviously, thank you for your commitment as well. And all of this is music to my ears. You talk about the implication of civil society, and you know how much Remy, myself, and many other organizations and networks have committed to making sure that the voices of all the people of the ocean are being heard, and that's very much the focus of this discussion today. So thank you, Maria Amalia. We heard your call to be collaborative, innovative in all aspects of the manifestations in Nice. So you can count on us. And as we can see, with all the questions being asked in the chat, there's a lot of expectations for this conference. So we do hope you can maybe stay with us for a little bit to see if we have some questions. Of course, there are many questions on accreditations and side events. So let's dive directly into this panel conversations with the wonderful team supporting the French government for the organization of the UN Ocean Conference. They will be sharing more intel on these hot questions of accreditations and events, but also some of the deliverables and locations for UNOC 3. So now let me start with Lilou Scatino Monaco. You're the UNOC 2025 coordinator for the French government. You're working tirelessly to make Nice happen. So can you tell us a little bit more about the deliverables and what can we expect from the outcomes of the UN Ocean Conference?
Thank you so much, Lorelai. Thank you, of course, Maria Amalia, for everything that you've said. And I will be going on about the Nice Ocean Action Plan, of course, and the deliverables of the conference. It's an honor to be here with you all today, and thank you again to the Ocean and Climate Platform for hosting this very important meeting to disseminate as much information as we can to have the most impactful conference that we wish to have, and we've been prepping for now for over 2 years. I will give you some slight more information regarding the Nice Ocean Action Plan, which has been voted to exist in this form last July at the UN General Assembly. This Nice Ocean Action Plan is different from the conclusions that came out of UNOC 2 in Lisbon in 2022, in that it does not constitute solely of the political declaration that is co-facilitated by Cabo Verde and Australia, as you can read on the slide, but it will also be supplemented by the list of engagements and commitments that each stakeholder and countries can and should take prior to UNOC and throughout the plenary sessions during the conference. This gives us the opportunity, of course, to have not only a document that will be negotiated prior to the conference and will be approved in all of its language by the member states, but also to showcase all of the various and very engaging initiatives that are taken by every single actors in the scope of UNOC. As you know, the commitments and engagements that you can register for the UN Ocean Conference have been open since the end of the second conference and will be open until June. And so we have seen and will be seeing up until June so many different initiatives supporting the implementation of SDG 14 by various and groups of multi-actors. So this is truly the place to engage and to showcase everything that every types of actor have been working for in the past 3 years for the ocean. Of course, you will have declarations made by states in the scope of plenary sessions that will be taken into consideration for the inclusion to this list, as well as the different engagements that are taken by civil society, but also proposed by scientists, and which of course aligns with the 3 priorities of the conference that France and Costa Rica have defined together since 2022. To go into more detail and to recall these 3 specific targets that are to work on the successful conclusion of multilateral processes, which the ambassador, of course, and Maria Amalia have mentioned, that are at the core of the conference, but as well to mobilize funding to conserve and sustainably use the ocean, seas, and marine resources for SDG 14 and to support the development of a sustainable blue economy. And finally, of course, to strengthen and better disseminate knowledge related to marine science for better policymaking. So these 3 priorities are, of course, at the core of what we've been working for the past 2 years, and they are also at the center of the initiatives that France is supporting on the road to UNOC 3. I will not, because of course we need to cover a lot of topics, but I will not cover all different deliverables that we will be seeing at UNOC 3. However, we will have, of course, deliverables relating to science and to the ocean science and policy interface, which is at the core of what we've been working for. And this goes, of course, with the organization of the One Ocean Science Congress prior to the conference, but as well as deliverables regarding the blue economy and sustainable finance, in concert with the Blue Economy and Finance Forum in Monaco. So related to decarbonation of the maritime transport and in relation with work in multilateral agencies as well. I think one core point that I should be highlighting today, otherwise the special envoy will not be happy that I do not mention it, is that every single actor needs to put as much weight as they can in finalizing everything that is already going on in favor of the ocean. And this goes for all of the multilateral processes that are going on in various agencies and carried by different governments, especially the ratification of the BBNJ Treaty, which is, and we do believe so, the core achievement that could happen at UNOC 3 by reaching the entry into force with the 16 necessary ratifications. We will have protected 60% of the ocean, which is something that we cannot go by at UNOC 3, and which is, of course, the perfect opportunity to use the momentum of international mobilization prior to this moment in Nice. Of course, I know each and every one of you are working very hard in mobilizing every state that you can to achieve this ratification in the necessary countries, and I of course salute everything that we are working with, everyone that we're working with, in this effort. So thank you very much. If necessary, I'll be able to answer specifics about the deliverables, but I think I can leave the floor to the rest of the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lilou. This is extremely clear, and there is indeed a lot of interest according to the topics and the hot topics that will be discussed in Nice. So thank you for recalling the fact that there is also a process with the United Nations that take place in New York in the Economic and Social Council, with discussions with all of the member states regarding not only the content and the topics that will be discussed in the plenary session, so in the official program of this UN Ocean Conference from the 9th until the 13th of June, but also with regards to the outcomes and those deliverables. As not everyone knows, the official outcome of the UN Ocean Conference is a political declaration that is currently being negotiated, and we discovered the zero draft for that declaration at the end of 2024, and there's a transparent process with regards to inputs, both from countries, so member states, but also non-state actors. So we'll share the link again in the Q&A chat box, but there is, as this was one of the questions, there is an official transparent process to invite comments onto the declaration from countries and from member states, with a very clear timeline that we will be sharing with you. To give you an example, my colleague Remy and I are actually working for the Let's Be Nice the Ocean Initiative in preparing some comments and feedback to that declaration to make sure that it actually reflects the ambition that we have heard from both France and Costa Rica. So thank you very much, Lilou. We'll get back to you if there are any other questions, but let's give our great audience a broad overview of the information that we already have. So now let me turn to my dear colleague, Luna Merino. You're supporting the infamous Ashaka Disseam, who's seconding the ambassador Olivier Poivre d'Arvor in this international mobilization. So thank you for joining us, Luna, to tell us a little bit more about the plans for UNOC. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lorelai. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. First of all, let me thank the Ocean and Climate Platform for enabling this this information session, and thank you all for tuning in and showing your interest in UNOC. Let me jump right in and give you maybe an outline of the dates of UNOC. Thank you. So I'm sure by now you know that the UN Ocean Conference will be happening from June 9th to June 13th in Nice, on the port of Nice. I will show you later on a bit more details on the Blue Zone. But in the run-up to UNOC, we'll be having a week of special events, which will be happening both in Nice and in Monaco. Ambassador Poivre d'Arvor discussed a bit them, but I will give you a bit more details and context on those events. So the first special event will be the One Ocean Science Congress, co-organized by IFREMER and the CNRS. It will be happening from June 3rd to June 6th, and it will bring together about 2,000 scientists to really provide some comprehensive scientific insights on the ocean's health, on ocean dynamics, and also on ocean health future trajectories. The second special event will be taking place on June 7th. It is the Ocean Rise and Coastal Resilience Summit, and it is organized by the city of Nice and by the Ocean and Climate Platform. So this summit will bring together around 500 mayors and governors from coastal cities and regions from all over the world. And it will be the occasion to launch the coalition of coastal cities and regions, presided by the mayor of Nice, Christian Estrosi. So this will be happening in Nice on June 7th. And in parallel to this event, the Blue Economy and Finance Forum, also known as the BEF, will be taking place in Monaco. It's an event that is organized by the Principality of Monaco, the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation, and the Oceanographic Institute of Monaco. And the BEF will really bring together key actors from the public, the private, and the philanthropic sectors to really create this enabling environment to create a new, regenerative, sustainable ocean economy. All those events are, of course, supported by France and Costa Rica, the co-hosts of UNOC. And the BEF will finish on June 8th, which is also the infamous World Ocean Day. Lorelai will talk a bit more about the plans we have for World Ocean Day and their surprises we're preparing. But let me just say that in parallel to World Ocean Day, the 8th of June will serve as the opening celebrations for UNOC, which will happen, the conference will start just on Monday the 9th. And in parallel to all these events, we will have a green zone, so a zone which is dedicated to civil society and the larger public, which we have renamed La Baleine, the whale, and which will be open from May 28th to June 15th in Nice. But I will talk to you a bit later on about the whale. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just to give you an idea about the venues in Nice, you will have the blue zone on the port of Nice. So you can see it at the bottom of the screen. And you will have the green zone at the exhibition center of Nice called the Palais des Expositions. Both of them are around 25 minutes walking distance from one another, but we will have shuttles going from one to the other. So you will have both options. And there is a third venue for UNOC, which is pretty important, and it is the harbor, which is located right in front of the blue zone. And within the harbor, we will be welcoming some pretty exceptional boats, exploration boats, but also scientific boats, which will be open to the public for some very fascinating visits. Next slide, please. Thank you. A bit more about the blue zone. The building which will be welcoming the UNOC delegates is actually under construction at the moment. It will be located on the port of Nice and will be open from June 9th to June 13th. So this zone is only accessible to the people who have obtained an accreditation from the UN. The process for obtaining accreditations is now closed, and UNDESA, which is the department from the UN that is responsible for organizing UNOC, is actually currently in the process of, processing those accreditation requests. They will be providing answers by the end of February to all organizations who have asked for accreditations. If you receive a positive response, meaning that you get an accreditation to participate in UNOC, you will have to enter a second process of registering for UNOC to actually obtain your Blue Zone badge. And these registration periods will open on different dates depending on the types of structure you're in. So I invite you to really regularly look at the UN UNOC website, which is linked down below, but which we'll also put in the Q&A, so you can get all the information and don't miss anything. But just to give an idea of what will be happening in the Blue Zone, we will have 3 main formats of events happening in the Blue Zone. The first one will be the plenary sessions, where delegates will be making statements, announcing commitments, and all kinds of statements. The second format will be the ocean action panels, which Lilu mentioned. So we have 10 ocean action panels, which for those of you who have been to previous editions of UNOC, used to be the interactive dialogues. So we have 10 thematics that have been agreed by all parties members to the UN, and which will be discussed during the 5 days of UNOC. So that means that each day we'll discuss 2 different ocean action panels. And the third format will be the side events, which I'll come back to later on. The exact specifics program of the 5 days of conference is already available on the UN website. You have a link down below, and we'll also put the link in the Q&A box. Let me jump to the green zone. Thank you. So the green zone, also called the whale, La Baleine. This is really a place that will be open to the larger public. So not only to UN delegates, not only to the ocean community, but really to the broader population of Nice and of the region. It will be open from May 28 till June 15. And we're looking to provide this very immersive experience to really move people and get them to understand both what's at stake for the ocean, the challenges that the ocean is facing, the threats that are, well, threatening it, but also the solutions and the treasure it hosts. As I said, it will be open to all. There will be a very simple online registration system, just so that everyone can get a QR code to enter and exit the space throughout the opening weeks. And this registration system is set to open in April. So within this main space that you see here, that is a bit scary as such, we will have very incredible thematic pavilions on different ocean topics. So it will range from the ocean and cryosphere to the deep seas, to ocean innovation, to MPAs, for instance. We'll provide more information on all this later on. We'll also have some very interesting immersive experiences, such as exhibitions or virtual reality shows. We'll be hosting, of course, a lot of different types of exhibitions of artistic programmation. And then we will also have the space for a large variety of conferences. So there will be a very detailed program that will be released closer to UNOC. Please don't hesitate to check regularly the UNOC website that is linked here, because this is where we will be putting more information on the whale. Just to explain it very precisely, the UN DESA department, so the United Nations, are mostly taking care of the blue zone, but they don't have anything to do with the green zone. So please do not email them about the green zone, as they won't be able to provide you with any information. But this is the website that should be checked with regards to information on the green zone. Next slide, please. Thank you. And last but not least, you might have noticed that the call for side events has been opened since yesterday evening. This call is available online on the UNDESA website. So proposals for side events have to be submitted only through this UNDESA website. There is no possibility to send side events to France or Costa Rica directly, because we won't be able to submit them to UNDESA. There are 3 types of side events that you can consider and submit. The first type of side event is an in-person side event in the blue zone. So the deadline for this type of side event is March the 14th. You can also submit a request for a side event in another location in Nice. For these side events, we will be providing a list of venues that can host those off-site side events, both on the UNOC website I mentioned earlier and on the UNDESA website. And then finally, you can submit a virtual side event proposal. So the deadline for both off-site side events and virtual side events is on April the 21st. And then UNDESA, the committee of side event selection, will go through all the proposals and will come back to the different organizers to let them know whether their side event has been accepted, and will then be labeled as a UN side event and will appear in the official programming of the UN. This doesn't mean that if your side event doesn't get selected, you can't do it. It just means that it won't be in the official programming of UNOC, but you will still have access to this list of venues of places in Nice that can host side events. So it will be up to you to contact those venues to find a suitable location for your side event. And you have all the information for the side events as well as the specific guidelines on the UNDESA websites. I think I've covered most of it, but I'm happy to answer some questions if there are more.
Thank you very much, Luna. And I know this is very dense. This is a lot of information. So let me recall that first, the minutes of this meeting will be shared. The recording of this meeting will be shared. We don't have necessarily all of the answers to all of the questions, but we're writing them down and we will follow up. We are also monitoring the chat the best we can, but there are a lot of questions and a lot of the same. So we do invite you to help us out a little bit. Since this has been a lot of information at once, let me follow up with some of the most pressing questions that have gathered the most interest in our chat. And I will turn to all of you, Luna, Lilou, and I see that Pablo has now joined us on behalf of Costa Rica, I assume. Welcome. You're in the fun room. So we do have some questions regarding support. Indeed, we've heard it from both our co-hosts, France and Costa Rica, and many of us in the last few months. There's a strong emphasis on facilitating participation from NGOs, from indigenous leaders, and making sure that the UN conference is an inclusive process. Do you know if there are some allocated funding that will be available to either facilitate the venue of NGOs, of specific groups, and or even youth participants? Lilou, please go ahead.
Yes, I think I could take the floor regarding this. Thank you so much. Regarding the participation and the coverage of cost for participation at UNOC 3, the system that is put in place is the use of the UN Trust Fund for participation. Unfortunately, it is only available for state delegations only. We are, as this is a UN process, it's not able to cover stakeholders that are being accredited after that are not observers, so that are accredited specifically for the conference. And however, of course, as partners will be made for the conference, and some of you might be in touch with partners of the conference. A possibility would be that speakers for specific events could ask the organizers of such events to be covered for their cost of travel, but that is not something that is being covered by the budget of the conference itself.
Thank you very much, Lilou. Luna, Pablo, would you like to add anything else? No. On behalf of the organizers as well, co-organizers of the both the dedicated summit on coastal cities and regions, there will be allocated funding on our behalf to facilitate the participations of mayors and governors from around the globe in this specific event. Maybe if the hosts of the other special events would like to share what they are planning on doing, feel free to either take the floor or share it in the Q&A as well. And also, I want to highlight two things. The first one is that a number of organizations are indeed working to facilitate the participation of non-state actors. Many groups, and I will only cite one because I know them well, the Rise Up coalition has been doing tremendous work in facilitating the participation of small-scale fishers, for instance, in these international conferences. They have done so in Costa Rica with more than 40 small-scale fishers from Latin America being invited to join the conversations and side events in San Jose. Many others are doing so. We know this is something of very high interest, so we will also revert back to the UN and the co-host to get more information on this in the coming weeks. And the other thing I wanted to highlight is that since I don't work for the government, I can also share my ideas, and they don't have to accept it. But as a French person, we're very proud of the Olympics, of course. But there's one thing that I took away from the organization of the Olympics is that there's a team for refugees. So maybe that's something that could be submitted to the co-host and the UN, is to make sure that we have a delegation for the people of the sea, and making sure that we facilitate the participation of all communities of the ocean into this very important conference. Again, I don't work for the government, but this is just an idea that could be facilitated. I do want to stress that this has been one of the most important feedback that we have received from the previous UNOC in New York and in Lisbon, and quite frankly from all the other international conferences that we go to, is to make sure that the most vulnerable communities, but all non-state actors can take full part into these conversations. Although we recognize, of course, that this is being led by the United Nations, so there are due process. These are my 2 cents on this. Please, Lilou.
Yes, no, regarding this specific point of having one unique delegation for ocean people, this is something that we've been discussing amongst French organizing team and that we are looking at. Of course, this decision does not come to us. It comes back to the UN and the accreditation processes. But we have been taking, of course, this demand into consideration, and we'll make the most of what we have to make it happen.
Thank you very much, Lilou. I'm very happy to hear this, and people on this call know that we'll definitely follow up on this. So now there are also many questions on the green zone as well, and maybe Luna, since this was a very dense presentation, we can go back to how this works, and for the people following us online. So we have indeed this blue zone that requires accreditations. It is part of the United Nations process. All of the UN delegations are invited. Some specific accreditations will be delivered for non-state actors. We have covered that with different timelines, of course, for the results of accreditations. But this is very specific for the blue zone that will be by the port. Something that is quite different that both France and Costa Rica have made sure to push for is that the green zone is more inclusive, is to make sure as well that the greater public will be invited to join, and that will, correct me if I'm wrong, but you won't necessarily require a UN accreditation to take part in the green zone, which makes it more inclusive and more happening maybe than some of the conversations in the blue zone. Luna, can you tell us maybe a bit more about the process again for the exhibitions and the pavilions that will take place in the baleine, in the whale?
Sure. Thanks, Lorelai, and you're exactly right. There isn't any relationship between the green zone and the accreditations that people can ask on the UN website or have had to ask. The green zone, the whale. So the green zone is the same thing as the whale, which is also the same thing as the Palais des Expositions, the exhibition center. So this will be open to everyone, to the larger public. You won't have to worry about online registration or missing the deadline for online registration, because you will be able to register even when you come in front of the building during UNOC. So there will be a website where you can register, but no worries if you forget or if you miss the chance to. It won't be closed when we get to UNOC. There will be, as I said, around 10 to 12 pavilions. We are not making an open call for those pavilions, as these are produced and enabled by some key partners within the ocean community. We will be distributing or publishing the list of pavilions and of the organizations involved in organizing those pavilions at a later stage. And each pavilion will also be responsible for programming its own activities and conferences or side events, if you want. So you will be able to reach out at some point to specific pavilions if you find that there is some relevance between your activities and the thematic of the pavilion. Regarding some other projects that you think might fit into the whale, I invite you to really check the UNOC websites that we've linked in the next few weeks, because we are going to distribute some information about how to submit a proposal to us for some kind of whether it's artistical works or different projects, different exhibitions. But at the moment, I don't have more information to give other than just ask you to check the website, and also to check LinkedIn. The Ocean and Climate Platform has been nice enough to really distribute some information about UNOC. So, I mean, if you follow the Ocean and Climate Platform, you won't miss anything. Gugu, I don't know if you have anything to say to compliment, or.
No, I think you've said everything. If there are specific questions regarding the green zones and the events, but you've covered everything, Luna. Thanks.
Thank you, Luna, Lilou, also for making the PR for the Ocean and Climate Platform. We do appreciate it, especially with the fake news going around these days. But that's another topic. Thank you very much. And of course, we do understand, and I think it's important to stress it again with our audience, is that this is a work in progress, and we know how much you love planning and how much it costs also to plan to attend these large conferences, especially international conferences. But this is a work in progress, and we do know that there are still some unknowns with regards to the logistics and the call for side events, the call for pavilions, and we'll make sure that as soon as the information becomes available, we will share it widely. And as Luna mentioned, some of the key resources have been shared in the chat, and one of the most important ones is indeed the UN website itself, dedicated to UN Ocean conferences. So now maybe I will tell you a little bit more about some of the plans for the World Ocean Day, because that's when it comes to mobilizing civil society. This is also one of the planning exercise that we are trying to fit into the agenda. And there were some very pertinent questions in the chat, and we'll get back to that with our speakers as well, in how we have and will facilitate the participation of all stakeholders. And Remy, I will definitely give you the floor after that, because we have been partners in crime for a little while now, and one of the most important aspect of our work has been to consult civil society, making sure that we hear from all the voices of the ocean. With very simple tools, quite frankly, we have organized a number of consultations, making sure that we could report back to the co-host and the UN on the priorities and the themes and the expectations from civil society. But also it is our duty, our responsibility to voice some of these concerns, and one being the inclusivity of this event. Which is why for the World Ocean Day, so the 8th of June 2025, one of the focuses that has been very close to both France and Costa Rica's heart is the people of the sea. So the ocean community in all its diversity, of course, but most importantly, making sure that we raise the voice of local coastal communities around the globe. So if we go to the next slide, please. I want to give you a little bit of an overview of the plans for the 8th of June, which Remy and myself are coordinating. As you can imagine, this is not an easy task, so we do ask for your patience and understanding. We won't give you a minute déroulé or run-off show of that day, because this is a moving target. This is up for discussions. This requires a very high-level approval. And we are people pleasers, so we're trying our very best to make sure that everything fits. So we'll give you a little bit of the flavor for this World Ocean Day. First of all, let me recall that there is an official mandate from the UN General Assembly that is implemented by DOALOS and Oceanic Global to organize the celebration of World Ocean Day. And they have shared with us that the theme for this year will be wonder. So we may sustain what sustains us. And we hope for this theme, wonder, to be our blue thread across the entire day, so we can really embrace and celebrate the wonders of the ocean and the wonders of its communities, obviously. One thing that I wanted to highlight, because this has come up in other conversations, is that the World Ocean Day is a day for celebration, and I'll be quite honest, we have 1 week, if not more, of panels and presentations ahead of us. We know what that means. So we need to take time to take charge and to get energized by this ocean community, which doesn't mean that we'll only be there to party. No. One of the wonders of this civil society is to have a voice. So we can celebrate and we can be all together while conveying some very important messages to not only the heads of state, but also all the governments that will attend. So that was just a bit of a preamble, since this was one of the questions that came up. For the 8th of June, going back to the heart of our conversation here, again, we have built the different segments of that day based on the outcomes and responses of the different consultations that we have been running for the last couple of years, including all the voices of the ocean, Let's Be Nice to the Ocean, and the latest Little Sister and Ocean of Possibilities. So we are indeed really working hard to make sure that we collect your priorities and reflect them in the agenda. As mentioned, there will be an event dedicated to the people of the sea. And to do so, Remy and myself, we are here to facilitate, to try and help orchestrate. But we have asked the help of legitimate organizations in each of these areas and topics, making sure that the process is as inclusive and mobilizing as possible. Therefore, we have reached out in priority to a number of networks, given that, and I'm well placed to say that, networks are supposed to speak on behalf of their members, which allows us to reach out much more organizations than singular entities, but also to specific organizations and spokespersons that have been recommended by the governments of France and Costa Rica as co-hosts, as well as their different diplomatic networks. So for the People of the Sea event, it will be a 90-minute event, very likely in the whale. But again, I won't go into the details of the logistics, as this is too uncertain at the time. But the idea will be to really put local and coastal and indigenous communities at the very forefront of the conversations and to kickstart this World Ocean Day. There will also be an event that Remy and myself will be coordinating on envisioning the future of the ocean, making sure that we, uphold our word to think outside the box, and making sure that we don't just react, but also make propositions, suggestions, and start anticipating how we can be the architects of the desirable future that we want for the ocean. And I'll give you the floor in a minute, Remy, to tell more about the Let's Be Nice to the Ocean movement now. There will also be an event dedicated on women in ocean action. So making sure that women, ladies and girls around the globe are also celebrated for how they have implemented very concrete solutions from the grassroots to the local to the international scales, and celebrating this woman leadership around the world. And to tie this all together, we will also rely on great partners to organize an ocean march, to also voice some of these recommendations and more advocacy work. This was a great success in Lisbon, so we hope for this to be also a great success in Nice, bringing everyone together in the streets as well to make our claims. We have mentioned that this will take place in Nice on the 8th of June. For those who don't know the south of France, it is beautiful. It is supposed to be warm and welcoming. So we hope that on that Sunday, we'll also be able to enjoy some of the sea and some of the beachfront, to organize some activities, maybe a universal bath, some music, and definitely a boat parade that is being coordinated, navigating from Monaco in the morning all the way to the port of Nice, to show this great flotilla of boats from around the globe, research schooners and others, to also embrace different aspects of the mobilization in Nice. And finally, for the 8th of June, of course, there will be a political segment with President Macron, as well as other heads of state invited to open the green zone, the whale, and visit some of the pavilions, making sure that some of the key messages of the Ocean Day can be delivered on that day as well. And there will be a heads of state dinner that has been planned, and hopefully other great receptions and festivities to be planned. So that's a little bit of the overview for now. For this World Ocean Day, as mentioned, we try to be as collaborative as possible, working with entities that are willing to get their hands dirty, quite frankly, because this is quite the party to organize this day, but we do count on you to make sure that we have all of the advocacy necessary and that all the voices are represented. And before we close on this and go back to questions, maybe Remy, would you like to share some of the latest of the Let's Be Nice movement, given that it's the other very solid leg of the civil society mobilization?
Well, thank you, Lorelai. I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you very much for giving me the floor and for this whole session. It's I can see in the chat box that everybody appreciates the information. Let's Be Nice to the Ocean. Many of you are familiar with it because we launched it a year and a half ago already, and we summarize it in what we're trying to achieve, what we're promoting. We're summarizing it in one sentence: making ocean protection the norm rather than the exception. we call it the protection principle. And those of you who have not visited the website yet, you're invited to go and visit letsbenicetotheocean.org, which, as I said, was launched a year and a half ago. And it was launched with support from 6 partner organizations that accompany us on this journey. And that includes the Ocean and Climate Platform. And in addition, since the event that took place in Costa Rica last year, a large number of organizations that we call associated stakeholders have joined in support of the protection principle. We call that the Let's Be Nice to the Ocean movement. There is, I think we're getting close to 90 organizations. We're looking forward to reaching the number of 100 soon, I hope. And of course, those of you who belong to organizations that are interested in supporting our program and the protection principle are very much encouraged to join the Let's Be Nice to the Ocean movement. And the information is available on the website, letsbenicetotheocean.org. One last thing, next week, we are organizing a workshop for the members of the Let's Be Nice to the Ocean movement. That's on the 5th of February, to discuss our response, our feedback, and our proposals regarding the zero draft that has been distributed by the UN a few weeks ago. And there is a deadline set by UN DESA and the co-facilitators in New York, a deadline of the 10th of February to propose new languages, new proposals for that zero draft, for that Nice Ocean Action Declaration. And we are going to share our collective thinking before the 10th of February with UN member states. So those of you who belong to the movement, or those who are considering joining, it's still time. We look forward to having this conversation with you next week. Thank you very much, Lorelai.
Merci beaucoup, Rémi. Of course, we invite all to join the Ocean Protection Principle and the Let's Be Nice to the Ocean movements. But we also invite you as civil society to be creative, to be fun, and to be loud, most importantly. And you have been loud in the chat, so we'll hand over to some of the questions as well. And I see that my colleagues from the Blue Economy and Finance Forum are still here. So Clément, Marianne, I may call on you to help me out a little bit with all of these questions, especially regarding the plans for the BEF, how you intend to mobilize and involve the insurance sectors, for instance, also how you intend to involve the shipping sector. Can you give us a bit of an overview of your plans for Monaco? Maybe Clément, I'll start with you because I see that your camera is on, and Marianne, I will give you a second to prepare.
Sure, thank you very much, Lorelai. So indeed, there's been quite a bit of work in trying to share and socialize the BEF event. Obviously, the program is still being finalized. I think we're 130 days away, and counting. So we see the day getting closer. Just generally speaking, as you will see from the program of the BEF on the BEF website, the program itself will be initially on the 7th. First, there will be a plenary around investing for ocean health, preservation, and resilience. Then financing a regenerative blue economy. That's all on the 7th. And on the 8th in the morning, we will have a session dedicated to shipping, blue ports and shipping, and then a high-level sequence with heads of states and various CEOs taking the floor. Regarding specific publics and specific actors of the private sector, we are talking to a number of professional organizations. We are lucky enough to have also the heads of our steering committee, who are Pascal Lamy and Ambassador Ilana Said. And there is a global work with all actors to make sure that the event is known and that participation is invited. We want to have multilateral organizations, NGOs, but also private sector actors. This is very important.
Thank you very much, Clément, and I know you're working very hard on this, and this has been a very collaborative process as well, with, of course, a few organizations leading the charge, but this has been a great process. And just to also mention to the people here that we are, of course, coordinating among the different hosts of the special events. We try our best to make sure that we don't replicate, but also share information among one another. Marianne, would you like to jump in and add anything?
Yes, perhaps just to add that we can still receive initiative on the website. So I'm sharing the link on the chat. So if you want to have your initiative considered for the BEF, please fill that form. The deadline was the end of the month. It will be extended by about 10 days, but it's the final days. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Marianne, and we'll definitely share the link as well in the minutes of the meeting. As I go through the different questions, maybe we could also hear from our colleague Jean-Pierre Gattuso to tell us a bit the updates on the One Ocean Science Congress that will be hosted from the 3rd to the 6th of June. If I'm not mistaken, you're so popular that you've had to extend one more day, so that's quite exciting. Jean-Pierre, can you tell us more?
Yes, in fact, we have extended the Congress by half a day. Thank you very much, Lorelai, and the Ocean and Climate Platform for this opportunity to say a few words about the One Ocean Science Congress. We have been a little bit overwhelmed with the abstracts. We have received more than 1,400. In the end, we will have a little more than 500 oral presentations, almost 900 posters, and 9 keynote speakers, 3 every day. And also, this is quite unusual in a scientific meeting, but the One Ocean Science Congress is not a standard scientific meeting because it's a UN special event leading to UNOC. We will have at lunchtime town halls. So the rooms will be made available for groups. They have been selected. Here again, we have been overwhelmed by the number of submissions, nearly 150, and we had only 33 slots. So I'm sure we have frustrated a few people, but that's the way it is. We have limitations in the space on the harbor, in which we are going to use the same facilities as the Blue Zone. It will not be the Blue Zone at the time of the Congress. So there is no need for accreditation, but there is a need to register to the meeting. So the town halls, there will be 33 of them at lunchtime for an hour. And we will provide lunch bags for the participants so they don't have to get out in the city and to get lunch. It will be included in the registration. And that's about it. The program was made by an international scientific committee comprising 18 people. The list is on the website, and we have 3 main deliverables. One is the recommendations that the International Scientific Committee has written and submitted to the UN. And I heard that it was discussed yesterday at the UN as part of the negotiations for the Nice Declaration. The second is a scientific paper on which we are working, and we will also have a policy brief that obviously, hopefully, will help discussions at UNOC in the Ocean Action Panels. Thank you, Lorelai.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre, and congratulations, of course, on being so successful. We look forward to being a part of this very important Congress to bring also the latest available science to the very heart of political conversations. We definitely need it more than ever.
Can I add something?
Of
Just
course.
a few words. There's due to space limitation, the attendance will be capped at 1,800 people. Of course, priority is given to people having contributions, posters, or oral presentations, and they have priority until Friday, 31st of January. And on the 1st of February, registration opens for everyone. But once we have reached 1,800 participants, we will close registration, unfortunately, but the facility is what it is, and we cannot accommodate more people than that. So.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre, of course, and we'll share again in the chat the website of the One Ocean Science Congress where the program will be posted in due course. Luna, may I turn to you very quickly, since we have spoken about the two other special events, maybe to share the latest on the Ocean Rise and Coastal Resilience Summit that will also take place on the 7th of June in Nice.
Sure. So the event will be presided by the mayor of Nice, Christian Estrosi, who is also presiding the coalition of coastal cities and regions to be launched at the occasion of the summit. As I mentioned, we are expecting to welcome around 500 mayors, governors, and representatives from coastal cities, coastal regions, and small island and developing states. We will also have some key experts on adaptation, resilience, but also financing, as we are looking to engage in very, very interesting and passionate discussions on how to really increase the resilience of coastal localities. The event will be happening on the port of Nice, but is accessible on invitation only. Because the event is organized by the City of Nice and the Ocean and Climate Platform, and Lorelai, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do encourage you to keep an eye on the Ocean and Climate Platform website, but we will also be releasing a specific website for the Ocean Rise and Coastal Resilience Summit very soon, I think by mid-February. So you will find all the information on the website regarding the event.
Thank you, Luna. Absolutely. We will be, like the other ones, we want to fit. So we'll also be releasing a dedicated website for the Ocean Rise and Coastal Resilience Summit, making sure, of course, that priority is given to local communities, mayors, and their delegations, since this will be the hot topic for this conversation, bringing the frontliners and the local decision makers to the heart of this international conferences. And of course, this will be also open to other stakeholders in due course. I think that we are getting to the end of our questions here. I'll look into it very quickly. Maybe Jean-Pierre, there is one question. I know you received a very, very large number of requests, but could you confirm whether even individuals or organizations that are not being selected to present or for the town halls or for the posters will receive a sort of rejection email, I suppose?
Absolutely. I'm surprised about the question, because every submission has received either an acceptance letter or message or a rejection message. So if there is, of course, mistakes can be made, and if the mistake has been made, please email us. The email address is on the website, and I will look into it. But as far as I know, normally replies have been provided to every submission.
Great, thank you very much, Jean-Pierre. And therefore, I encourage everyone, and I'm sure it's the same with the BEF, and it will be the same throughout the UN official process as well. Responses are due. We know how much effort is being made into these proposals and how much we need to plan for our different travels to Nice, of course. So we do encourage you to reach out to the organizers if you have not received a response for your different requests. Of course, waiting for the deadline sometimes it's just that there's a lot of information to cover. I think that we are getting to the end of the questions and answers. Let me highlight that this has been a very interesting exercise, and that we are very, very happy together with the Varda Group and the Ocean and Climate Platform to be able to facilitate these types of interactive discussions, I may say, and that we do take it very seriously. So we want this to not be the last one until June. So we will continue working very closely with our colleagues and friends from the governments of France and Costa Rica, making sure that information circulates, that you are aware in due course of all the advancements and projects planned for UNOC. We understand the need for the logistics as well, so we will also make sure to share a logistics note whenever we have more information. So we again really appreciate your time, your dedication, and your enthusiasm for this next UN Ocean Conference. We heard it from Olivier and Maria Amalia. This needs to be the turning point in 2025. So we count on all of you to be there in person or virtually. We know that the wave of the ocean, of course, had to do a little pun here, goes way beyond the people that will make it to Nice. So we really, really appreciate your dedication to safeguarding the ocean. So with this, I will let you go back to your normal activities, and thank you again for your time, and we'll be in touch very, very soon. Thank you so much.